Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 1999 classic creature feature, Lake Placid. The film is directed by Steve Miner and it stars Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda, Oliver Platt, Brendan Gleeson and Betty White. Now the film focuses on a lake in Maine, and this lake has a problem with a giant crocodile that's starting to munch on people. So off they go out to try and investigate what's going on when they start finding these dead bodies. And you've got Bridget Fonda's character Kelly, who has been sent by like a museum to kind of confirm what kind of creature it is. You've got Bill Pullman from Bird and Game, I think it is, whatever they're called. You've got Oliver Platt, who's like a rich guy that kind of goes around the world observing crocodiles, so he's like something of an expert. And you've got Brendan Gleeson, who is the local sheriff. While out there, they soon discover that there is one of the biggest crocodiles ever known to man, and they have a real task on their hand: A, to stay alive, and B, to figure out what to do with it. Right, what are my thoughts on Lake Placid? Well, this was for a long time one of my favourite films, in a sense of like throughout the noughties really. I used to watch this one all the time. I think it was one of the first films I got on DVD. I think my first DVD player I got in the early noughties, and I got Gladiator and Mission Impossible 2 and some others, but soon after I got this on DVD and I would watch it constantly, and I've got a real affection for this film. And now I know it is flawed in some aspects of it, but the film at the heart of it has got such charm and entertainment value. I'm kind of willing to forgive a lot of its flaws. Because what we have here is a very, very dark comedy as well that is just pitched perfectly, with some truly memorable characters. And what I mean by that is you've got two characters here: Oliver Platt, who plays Hector, and you've got Brendan Gleeson that plays Sheriff Hank. And these two, of the chemistry they have on screen together, it's just something to behold. They don't like each other, they're constantly bickering, scrapping, throwing sarcastic comments at each other. I mean, it's just hilarious, and it's so dry, the humour as well. It's so brilliantly done. It's not done tongue-in-cheek or anything. These are genuine characters that are, but they steal the film basically. Betty White does a really good job of almost stealing the film as well. If you like seeing Betty White cursing and swearing, then you will definitely enjoy this film if you haven't seen it already. Now, because Oliver Platt and Brendan Gleeson are so good in this film, and I mean they are just so good. I mean, there's the kind of humour that we're talking about here is, there's a scene in this film where they find a severed toe, and Oliver Platt holds it up and shows it, Brendan Gleeson's character, the sheriff, and he says, "Is this one of your deputies?" And he looks at him, Brendan Gleeson, and basically says he seemed taller. That's the kind of humour that we're dealing with in this film. And the first time I heard that, I just kind of, years ago, I just laughed out loud. It was just, I love the humour in this. It's so brilliantly done. But as I say, you've got these two massively memorable characters, three if you count Betty White's character as well. And then on the other side of the coin, you've got two of the least forgettable characters that I can think of in a film like this. You've got Bridget Fonda's Kelly, who is just not a very nice person. She's constantly moaning, constantly griping, constantly screaming. She's properly annoying in this film. You can't get over the fact that she's just so annoying, and she's just not a pleasant character. And then you've got Bill Pullman. Now, it's not that he's an unpleasant character, but he's so nondescript, his character in this film. It's just the chiseled hero character that does nothing. He doesn't really add anything to the film, very, very little. And I'm a big fan of Bill Pullman. I think he's a great actor, and at this time in his career, you know what I mean, he was doing gangbusters. But yeah, he doesn't offer very little to the film. And Bridget Fonda's character, other than being really annoying to the point where you hope she's going to get munched anytime soon, offers very little as well. So you've got massively memorable characters and very, very forgettable characters, and that's one of the major flaws here. And what we have at the helm of this film is Steve Miner as well. Now, Steve Miner is an industry veteran, really. He has directed quite 2 or 3 Friday the 13th. He directed House, he directed Warlock, that's a personal favourite of mine, Warlock, and he even directed Halloween H2O, so he's got some real pedigree. He knows how to make these type of movies, and he absolutely, I think, nails the feel of this film. The humour, I mean, because there are moments in this film where there are some very, very graphic kills, and it still manages to keep its sense of humour. And it's not an easy thing to get right, and I think Steve Miner absolutely nails the balancing act here with this film just perfectly. I need to mention the effects as well, because this was 1999, so you know, CGI was kind of just coming into its own then, but the majority of the crocodile effects was animatronics, really, and it was the man himself, Stan Winston, that created the crocodile, so as you can imagine, it looked bloody brilliant, very menacing. So, like I say, loads of talent here. You've got Steve Miner, talented director, you've got Stan Winston, the greatest of all time when it comes to creatures, and you've got some really memorable characters, so there's a good blend here to make a very, very fun and entertaining film. I think another reason I think that people kind of, I mean, when I saw the score for this on IMDb, because I haven't watched it for a while, and I wanted to obviously re-watch it for this review, I could not believe how low the score was. I guess something like 5.8 out of 10, and I'm just thinking, really? What are you watching? That's far too low a score for this. It was, I think, a very, very fun and entertaining film that has its flaws, and one of the biggest flaws as well, I think, is the final act. It's almost like it runs out of ideas. For me, it just didn't work, and then they try and throw this twist in right at a couple of twists, really. And again, it just felt like they were stretching, and they were, you know, to go somewhere with a film where it didn't really need to go. So while yet there are flaws here, I think it's a wonderful late 90s creature feature that you guys need to check out if you haven't seen it. I can't honestly speak for the sequels because I've not seen any of them. I know there's quite a few Lake Placid sequels now. I suspect they're all pretty poor, but you know, correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments if you think there's any of the Lake Placid sequels that is worth me checking out, and I may well try and give them a go. But beyond that, I will be obviously looking out for recommendations for other creature features that you guys would like me to see me review, and I will of course be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.